all the unique characters.
I do let him bang. Yeah, I'm a legend, man. I'm building my legacy.
All the stories and perspectives featured weekly.
I wasn't fully committed to that choke, and I kind of sunk into it, started squeezing tighter, and I kind of heard him gurgle a little bit. I was like, oh.
And all the combat sports you could ask for in the best state in the U.S.
Like I said, Ohio versus the world. It's going to happen for sure. Watch out.
It'll be cool, man. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to show them why the Ohio MMA scene is, in my opinion, one of the best MMA scenes in the country.
This is Forged in OH.
IO.
OH.
IO.
OH.
IO!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 118 of Forged in Ohio. My name is Jake Murren, and I'm the host of the podcast. This is an exciting episode because I'm being joined by one hell of a fighter. This man went 6-4 in his amateur career that spanned 3 years. Now he can call himself a pro fighter, and now he can call himself an undefeated pro fighter. This man shot his shot to be on the show, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bring him on. It's Elijah Spooky Woodroof. Thanks for coming on the show, Elijah, and welcome to Forged in Ohio.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man, it's great to have you on the show, and we have to start with that pro debut at Ohio Combat League 38 in May. Just how are you feeling just over a month removed from that fight?
Pretty good. Just looking to get back in there after, pretty much. Felt like I had a decent performance, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, and I want to just keep the ball rolling, stay active. I didn't get any injury afterwards, so there's really no reason to not be active.
Yeah, I was going to ask about how you felt about the performance. I haven't been able to watch the fight yet myself, but by all accounts, it was kind of an instant classic in there. Are you happy with the performance in your pro debut?
Yes and no. I'm glad that it was an entertaining fight, and I'm glad I won. Felt like I executed a lot of things that I've been working on, but it would have felt a lot better to get the finish, actually capitalize on some of the things I was pulling off.
You were going up against a guy from Immortal who's been around for a long time. Is that the type of fight you were expecting going in?
Yeah, just about. I'd sparred him probably once or twice before. About a year ago when I was getting ready for a boxing bout, I'd gone up there probably 3 times for some sparring rounds. So I had a feeling the fight was going to be, knew it was going to be tough. He's going to be a decent opponent.
How much can you really take from those experiences sparring your opponent? I know those were years ago. Can you take a lot from that, or do you count on improvement from both, obviously, yourself and him?
You can take a little bit from it, but not a whole lot. I'd say, plus also people are very different once you put those lights on them. Some people blow up and they become this entirely different person. They just cannot miss when they're under those lights, but then when they're in the room, they get their ass beat. Versus, these other dudes who are sweet in the room, and then they go out there and they just can't fight. They can't put it all together. So, like I said, yes and no. Felt like I had an idea of some things he would like to do or a way he would approach the fight, but as far as how it would all go, no. Can't get all of that from, 2 sparring rounds.
There was about a year between your last amateur fight and your pro debut in May. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but how did you feel in the cage that night?
It was not intentional, actually. I wanted to line up another title bout at 170 against another fighter, but I had a couple of injuries and shit just wasn't working out, and I got to a point financially where I was just like, there's no point in messing around in the amateurs. When I've had the fights that I've had, I know that I'm going to have harder. I might as well just go pro, and I have a decent skill set. But once I actually got out there, it didn't feel like – first round, it felt a little bit of the ring rust, a little bit of the nerves, but also having had 10 fights at that point, it didn't feel too crazy. It was – at first it was but it felt like it was one of the fastest times I've gotten dialed in a fight, and also one of the most clear-headed I've been.
Did it take any time, to actually settle in once you walked into the cage, or what was it like even entering round 3 after having that layoff?
Round 1 was a little, the beginning of round 1, the first few exchanges felt a little I was going at it too hard. I was trying to throw too much power into all my shots and trying to find my range a little more. But then I'd say in the second round, I really settled in and found my range. I dumped the tank in that round, and I was starting to feel a little gassed, like coming back to my corner right before the third. But haven't been there before. I'd fought my last amateur fight. It was a title fight, but our first round was 5 minutes, and that was probably, by the time that was said and done, that was the tightest I'd ever been, and I felt like I was pretty close to death. So feeling that gassed out before the third, having been there before, I kind of just took a deep breath, reassessed, and just coasted. Like, figured out how to reapproach it, just use my experience.
Were there times during the fight where you felt like you were close to putting him away?
Yes. I had a few times in the third I definitely felt like I could have put him away if I did a little bit more. Not the third, the second round.
I know you traveled a lot as an amateur fighter. Was it nice to compete as a pro here in Ohio, not having to worry about things like same-day weigh-ins or having a limited skill set and the tools you can use?
Yeah, for sure. Having to travel for some of my other fights really, like, that added a whole different stress and all the other factors to it a lot of the time. But being able to do it right there in my backyard felt really good. Also felt like I had some people that were able to pay attention to it a little more than I have fights.
What does it mean to you to now have successfully made your pro debut, now an undefeated professional combat sports athlete?
For me, it don't mean a whole lot other than I just need to keep the ball rolling, keep stacking it up, keep progressing from there, and don't get stagnant. I don't want to be one of those guys who kind of bases all of my I don't want to be one of those guys who bases all of my confidence around the unbeaten record. God forbid I lose. But at the same time, I don't want to be sitting here planning on losing at any point.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Talking with Elijah Spooky Woodroof here on Forged in Ohio. I want to talk a bit about your amateur career. You debuted in 2021 and finished last year with a 6-4 record along with a lightweight title. I know that's in the rearview mirror now, but are you proud of what you were able to accomplish as an amateur?
I'd say so. Like, I think I could have had a little bit better of a record, but I feel like more than other amateurs, I really went out there and just tested myself. I really got to figure out who I was as a fighter, and then by the end of it, I really knew who I was.
In 20 to 30 years, when you look back on it, what will you remember most from your time competing as an amateur fighter?
I'd say just like the community it's given me amongst other fighters, and then I've never been somebody who grew up in a massive family or having a bunch of connections and stuff, but being in the fight world and building my connections that way has been a tremendous thing for me as an adult. It's really felt like it's made me just feel good. And also just having something to wake up and do every day is just a blessing. Something to push yourself, gives me discipline, makes me healthy. Can't really complain on it.
Would you even recognize that version of yourself from 2021 prior to your amateur debut?
No. It was funny, before I took my fight debut against Liam Hamill at 185, year before that, I was walking around like 230, 240.
Oh, wow.
I was fat as hell. Yeah.
So what kind of caused that dramatic weight change? Obviously, you were, that high in weight debuting at 185, and now you are here as a pro at 155.
Like what caused the weight change in general?
Yeah, like what motivated you to potentially like lose the weight or get to where you are now?
Well, when I was 19, I was just really depressed. We were in COVID, so I couldn't really train. I'd already had been dealing with some depression issues, and I lost a dear friend of mine that I grew up with, and just really, after that, it pushed me to just do something, get up off my ass.
Is that kind of what propelled you into combat sports, or what actually kind of sparked that initial interest for you?
I've always been into fighting. Like, since I was a little kid, I'd always idolized Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, I watched all the Ong Bak movies before I was 10 years old. Like, I've always loved martial arts. I started wrestling when I was 12, and then I picked up Muay Thai and BJJ when I was about 16 or 17. I would go across my hometown in Kettering, Ohio. I would go down the street to this dude. This other pro fighter at the time, he fights for BKFC now. His name's Van Bo. I would train in his garage with him and a few other fighters when I was a teenager. And one thing led to another. I ended up in 10 Bears, and then from there I went to Parks, where I'm at now.
Yeah, man, you had a very balanced amateur career. 2 wins by knockout, 2 by decision, and 2 by submission as well. Do you feel like you really experienced everything you needed to in order to be ready to make that step into the pro ranks?
For sure. I would say so. Especially with, I got to feel it out at 170 for a while, and really, I felt like I was a tweener at that weight class at first. I could be a smaller 170, or I could be a big 155er, and then got to a title shot with that, and I felt like I was always going against an obstacle, like a physical obstacle, and I could make 155, so when I put the effort in to come down, I feel like that's a decision I would have hated to have made in my pro career. That would have been a major setback.
The amateur title you won last year for HR MMA, just how much did that mean to you at the time, and was that kind of the cherry on top of those 10 amateur fights you had?
That meant a lot to me. I had a lot. That whole year really was riding into just that was my goal, was capitalizing with the title by the end. And I figured it was going to be against Keston. So, yeah, it felt pretty good.
Was the title win your favorite amateur fight, or do you look at another one in your career and say, yeah, that's the one?
Say one of my, it's not my favorite amateur fight. I think one of my favorite amateur fights is, my 2 would be when I fought Ezekiel Bentley, and I think that was my 4th amateur fight, just because that fight first round was very all over the place. He opened up with this beautiful side kick that sat me down right on my ass, and then I stood up into a double leg and carried him to the cage and dunked him. And then we just started throwing haymakers after that. So it was just real chaotic, funny. Outside of that, I'd say it'd be my Travis Hudson win, because it was just a quick knockout. Didn't take any damage, just did what I needed to, got in, got out.
You train at Team Hammer, led by Matt Hamill, but just what has that gym and maybe Matt's mentorship meant to you?
It meant a lot. It really felt like it gave me a home, gave me stability.
I have to ask about facing Liam Hamill as well in your amateur debut, and of course, now being teammates with him, I'm sure you get this question a lot. Just what's that dynamic like, having a teammate that you shared some time with in the cage?
Crazy, honestly. Now we're more like family than anything. I feel like we can say we know each other a lot better than most fighters can, or most teammates really can, just because we know what we're like in there, especially because we've seen the whole time together, from first bell to last. So, and I can't say that we really even came into that fight we didn't know each other and we didn't necessarily like each other, but by the end of it, we respected each other.
When did you actually start at Team Hammer? Was it shortly after that fight against Liam, or how'd that actually come together?
I didn't start there until about 2022, I believe, January of that year. It was after I'd lost that one fight, my title fight at 170 against Quadarius McGinnis. I came home and I'd had a falling out with my roommate, and my MMA team that I was training with together was kind of falling apart, and I had the opportunity to go down south to train with them, so I just jumped on it.
Was it awkward at all joining the team after fighting Liam, or was it an instant just a hit there with the chemistry there with the team?
It might have been awkward for a little bit at first, but then I'd say we clicked on, started working pretty well together.
Once again, this is Elijah Spooky Woodroof here on Forged in Ohio. Now that the pro debut is behind you, what do you think is next as you continue to embark on your pro career?
Just keep stacking the odds, keep fighting, trying to stay as active as I can.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the activity. You fought obviously 10 times in a 3-year span as an amateur. Is that the type of schedule you're hoping to keep now that you're a pro?
A little bit, yeah. I'd like to fight about 3 to 4 times a year. In my amateur career, it was kind of everywhere. Like my first year, I fought 6 times, like 6 times in a year, 6 months. It was kind of dumb. And then the year after that, I only fought like 1 time, and then I have all the other fights right after that, the year following. So I wouldn't like to be that all over the place, but I would like to be about 3 to 4 fights every year.
Do you feel like you have to be more measured when you're taking fights as a pro, making sure you're taking the appropriate step up each time, or how are you approaching that new dynamic as a pro?
Yeah, most definitely. Definitely got to approach it the right way because you don't want to screw yourself. You don't want to take the wrong matchups and then end up being a journeyman or something. Like, you don't want to be that great fighter with a horrible record.
Are we looking for more, hometown local fights, or are you open to traveling like you had throughout your amateur career?
For the first couple, I would like to bank some at home just to build that home base fan roster. But then, yeah, I would like to get back to traveling, like getting my name out there, and then just taking on the best fights that I can. I also know that the Midwest only has so many wonders to offer.
I usually like to ask fighters about their goals, but instead I'll ask what you're trying to really prove in this sport, whether it's to others or even yourself. Is there something that you're trying to prove as an MMA fighter?
I like that question. For a little bit, it felt like I was trying to prove to myself that I belonged here, but now I just want to. At times, it feels like I just want to prove. Feels like I want to prove to people that I can be the best, or that I don't know. Maybe one day, prove that I am the best.
Did it
but
feel like
now, it just feels like one of the things that drives me. Sorry, one of the things that feels like drives me every day is just proving that I can outwork just about anybody that's put in front of me.
How much did you kind of evolve, or how long did it take for you to actually prove to yourself that you belong here, and just how much did that kind of take you up a notch in terms of your confidence in MMA?
3 years.
And have you noticed that difference?
Pretty much all of my amateur career. Yeah. I'd say my first couple of fights, like I would be scared to get in there and trade punches with people, like with actual thought behind it. Like, I wouldn't feel like I could go out there and strike with somebody with an audience and then perform under a game plan. Like, I couldn't think about it. It would just freak me out too much. Versus, like, now I can stand in front of somebody and I'm like, I know I have the confidence to, like, not just beat you, but I know I can, like, knock some people out.
Where you're at right now at 24 years old as a 1-0 pro fighter, do you feel like you've kind of rounded into the best version of yourself and are poised to make a run in this sport?
I feel like I'm definitely getting there. I'm definitely shaping myself into the best I can be. I think I'm definitely at a good starting margin for that. But there's always some more that's going to be done.
Is that one of the more attractive aspects of mixed martial arts, knowing that as good as you are now, even the best of the best in this game, there's always room for improvement, and that's almost what keeps you coming back?
Yeah, I think that's the part that makes it addictive, because it's like, there's never a point where you can just sit back and be like, yeah, I'm good. Like, yeah, I'm perfect. And then it's like, even if you have gotten to that place where, say you are at a gym where they're telling you that everything you do is right, and it's kind of like, then you find that person that just cashes in on you. You can't get anything right, then you know you're at the wrong place.
For sure, man. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to give you the opportunity here to shout out anything here at the back end of the show. I'll give you the floor here, man.
I'd just like to shout out some of my sponsors from my last fight, Villano Quinn Tattoos and Ali Collis Tattoos, Big Iron Tattoos in Dayton, Ohio, Nagy Tavern. I'd like to shout out my gym, Parks Taekwondo in Loveland, Ohio. They've been a huge help to me. Seiken Martial Arts in Westchester, huge support. And I just like to thank fighting in general. It's just been a great time. And that's about it. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you wanting on Forged in Ohio, and I really enjoyed talking with you, man. If you've caught any other episodes of the show, then you know I like to end these chats by doing the OHIO chant with my guests. So, OH.
Oh!
Thanks, Elijah. I appreciate the time. Congrats on the win in the pro debut, and best of luck moving forward in your career.
Thank you. You have a good one, man.
That was Elijah Spooky Woodroof, the 1-0 professional mixed martial artist. If you haven't already, check out the Forged in Ohio shop for all of the show's latest merchandise. You can find the link to the shop in the description of this episode or on social media at Forged in Ohio on Instagram, Facebook, and X. That's the #1 way you can support the podcast. You can also make sure you're subscribed to the Forged in Ohio YouTube channel. We're very close to reaching the 200 subscribers mark, and I know that with your support, we can surpass that number as well. Thanks again to Elijah Woodroof, and thanks to all of you for watching or tuning into this episode. I've been your host, Jake Murren, and this was Forged in Ohio.